Hi, a very good evening to all of you. I'll be talking about impact of GRC on data protection or privacy. So, today's agenda will be covering about what is data privacy first, importance of data privacy, data security versus data privacy versus data protection, and definition of GRC and its importance. Now, importance of GRC in cybersecurity, and we'll also have a model discussion about GRC capability model. So, and then we can end up with taking questions and discussing further. Okay.
Sure.
So now we all know that in today's world, data is abundant and available in every platform. So anywhere, like we do shopping online, we do transaction online. We also have database where we keep about our health records. So all these are nothing related to data, which is personal and confidential. So data privacy refers to identification and appropriate handling of such kind of sensitive data belonging to your individual or any company also. So this data can be your personal data, be it financial data or health information. So this is nothing but this refers to this data, which is very important. And if it is used by any external entity, it can be used in very wrong way. So that is why data privacy is very important. The objective of data privacy is to protect such confidentiality and integrity of data so that we avoid the damage to any organization or customer and address the risk of compliance violations. So this main idea is to make sure the data is not used maliciously by any other organization or any other outside body. So data privacy plays a vital and a phenomenal role in order to protect such kind of data so that it is not used by the outside world. Okay. Now, coming to why is data privacy important? Okay, because privacy for anything is a fundamental human right in any jurisdiction, and data protection law have been enacted to protect such right. So organizations use data privacy or practices and technology to demonstrate that their personal data is safe. For example, for a banking sector, we transact lot of money on this platform. Okay, so in this case, the RBI has also made some stringent laws so that our data is protected. For example, any kind of interaction of money within the organization, by law, we are abide to keep that data intact in India only. If it is any foreign exchange, then you can reside the data outside India. But as per the law, this has to be kept in India only if it is internal transaction. Okay. Secondly, there are various PIN, ATM cards used, numbers used. So if this data is not kept well, then we will lose that confidence on the bank and we'll lose also a lot of money. So that is why organization makes sure the data is intact. It is not used maliciously by any outside world, and to make us confident that wherever we are keeping our money, it is safe. Now, there's a thin line of discussion about data security, data privacy, and data protection. So data security is nothing but protection of data against range of malicious threat. This can be like, for example, a ransom attack can result a loss of valuable data without violating its privacy. This type of data attack can be prevented by data security practices and would be outside the scope of data privacy program. Okay, so data privacy focus on ensuring that only authorized people have access to your personal data. And data protection is nothing but that provides the organization the way to recover such kind of data after data loss event happens. For example, a backup and a disaster recovery system, data protection mechanism. Data protection system need to be additional measure to protect such kind of data. For example, if you are working in any IT firm, so we always have a mentioned in the configuration management, the data of the customer will be kept in our system for 1 year only. or 5 years only. That's a policy or procedures which are mentioned in the organization to make sure that the confidence of the customer that my data will not be used by any outside world, it will be killed or it will be destroyed if it is not required by the organization, and it will not be given to any vendors apart from their own interest. So that kind of clauses or confidentiality of not sharing it, we sign in the SOWs. So to in the SOW, when we say that this has to be abide by this, so we also use something called as GRC, which is nothing but your governance, risk, and compliance label, which follows certain ISO standards. There are many standards across the organization, so across the world, so that can be abide by this and can be implemented so to make sure that the data is protected. So now we come to what is GRC. So you know that cybersecurity is a technical side of protecting your system, network, device, and data, while governance, risk, and compliance is a tool that will help the entire organization to understand and communicate as how to do it. For example, now I was talking about data security, data privacy, and data. Then you said, then I just shifted to cybersecurity. Data security is part of cybersecurity. It's like a subset of your cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is a holistic view of your technical side of protecting systems, network, etc. Apart from this, also data privacy is also important. So GRC is nothing but a tool that will help us, the organization, to understand and communicate as how to do it. So in simple word, GRC is a medium for creating awareness around cybersecurity, best practices, and achieve business goals. Now, let us discuss why GRC is important. Any kind of thought process you have, why you want to say that GRC is important?
Yeah, please open up in case if you want to add something. Let's make it interactive session. Please go ahead. No problem, Shudeshna.
Okay, so GRC is nothing but governance, risk, and compliance, which we already talked about. It is nothing but a business strategy for managing companies' overall governance, enterprise risk management, and regulatory compliance. For example, if you say ISO 27701 about data privacy, it has a strategy, it has a policy, it has a procedure which you have to abide by and make sure these are being followed and implemented in organization so that we identify risk proactively, mitigate them so that it is prevented from occurring. So GRC is nothing but a structured approach of aligning IT and operation with the business objective while affecting managing risk and meeting regulatory needs. So GRC exists because to mitigate threat to productivity and the company's value by creating standard policy, regulation, and processes. So GRC helps to formulate all this standard policy, regulation, and processes. So now coming to importance of GRC in cybersecurity, we know that there are a lot of threats. You might have heard or read or heard from your friends that you get several calls saying that your parcel has been dispatched and it has some malicious artifacts, which is like national threat. So somebody calls from the police department talking to you that as if he's an inspector. Such kind of threats are happening now and then. And if you see a ratio of such kind of cases, which has enormously increased in the recent time. Before we were not so open to outside world. Now since after COVID, everything has become electronic. Everything you are working from home, so everything is very threatening. So nowadays you get a lot of such kind of calls. These are nothing but a cyber crime or cyber. This is the impact on the cyber security. So my data might have been leaked to somebody where they have known my Aadhaar card number or my identification, my name, where do I stay, or my PAN card number. So that is how they're using that and threatening me. So in such a case, GRC becomes a vital and a critical game changer, or it's an important in every organization or any organization, you may say. So GRC is crucial because it supports cybersecurity with vital business activities such as standardizing your best practices for everyone to act with integrity and security, assign roles and responsibilities. So you identify the roles and responsibilities of each and every person working on that, so that like business unit and users, so that you can enhance your communication within the team, enhance the way you are dealing with such kind of threats, helping the implementation of data manipulation procedures. It also unifies a vocabulary across department and team. So there's certain terminology which has to be commonly used. You might be hearing phishing. All these are not but common terminology. So this kind of terminology they create and make us aware in an organization that, okay, if this is happening, this is phishing. So you have to talk to this person to avoid such kind of mail or such kind of risk. Okay, so this unifies this vocabulary. Then you support internal audits and encourage continuous control monitoring. So in order to protect such kind of thing, we say governance also a part of audit. Okay, so in audit you find out ki acha, what's your process, what's your procedure of taking backup, how do you put the data, what are the clauses you have written, that how you are going to protect the data. And then I do an audit by an external vendor or internal bodies to find out, are we complying to that processes or procedures as stated. If we are not complying, we come up with kind of non-conformity or observation, and then come up with the suggestion of saying that how to improvise, how to go about it, how to, and any risk, proactive risk, how to mitigate such kind of risks. So these are done by internal audits or an external audits. Then assist with risk mitigation internally and externally. So there, if you, while doing this audit, if you see such kind of threatenings, or if you see proactively find out, okay, if this is not done, this can be a risk going forward in the organization, you can identify mitigation plan to protect such risk from occurring. So it gives a pre-alert to every organization. You also support meeting industry and government regulations. So there are a lot of norms and regulation at the at worldwide, which are being now like which are being formulated and implemented across the world. So such kind of rule and regulation, we also have to come to know about that, and also has to abide by that law. It's like European law may be different from Indian law. So that's how we have to differentiate between which countries they belong to. And accordingly, we have to abide the GRC, and the GRC model has to be implemented accordingly. Now, coming to the technical benefits, okay. So there are a lot of vendors which take care of the data. For example, if I am using Airtel Mobile, so for billing purpose, there will be a third-party vendor who will be processing my billing account. So in that case, when I do this billing or anything, my account number, my name, my personal data will be shown to him. So such kind of data which goes to the third party, they are like, if Airtel has signed a bond with me that my data will be protected, the third party will also comply to that stage. So we have something called as an indirect way of assessing that, okay, whatever they have committed to the client that their data will be secure, the third party also has to comply to that law, that the data of the like customer has to be secure. Yeah. So, GRC will support in creation of vendor assessment and mitigation strategy. So it also helps in identifying proactive risks, and also finding out the way how to mitigate them, and the risk treatment we have to come up with. So regulatory compliance, like I said, there are a lot of regulatory compliance across the world. So we have to keep thinking, keep in mind that this compliance also should know about the new regulation evolved worldwide. Moreover, it brings this evolving changes to security teams attention ahead of time, providing time to plan and response. Apart from this, overall GRC will help in developing and managing policies, regulation, and standards to meet and often update the business and industry regulations. So this will also, it's just an ongoing process. So there are certain laws which are evolving. So we have to abide by that law. So you have to come up to, we have to see that GRC also takes care of such kind of standard policy and laws, and also abide by that laws, so that we do not fall a prey of giving a penalty or a criminal, even a, I think imprisonment is also there. So if that all has to be taken care when you formulate such kind of policy or procedure or standards. So GRC helps in all doing so. So audit support, like I talked about audit. So modern organization extend their procedure and protocols to provide uh, processes and audit material to their auditors, ensuring that processes and best practice are well documented. That will make sure that your house is like in order, kept in order, and it indirectly given confidence to the customer that okay, whatever data I am sharing with this party, it will be in in the right hands and it will not be exploited. So critical audit material may include incident response, for example, cybersecurity awareness. So whenever you might know that whenever you uh, join any organization, you might be also asked to take certain trainings in the organization, depending on the cybersecurity, where which talks about phishing and all that. So this also has to be like every employee has to undergo that such training to understand what is that threat about, how to read about a threat. Okay, so an internal control test results, which is like an audit. Wherever you do an audit, you find out proactive risk, then you take mitigation plan accordingly. Plus, also there are certain results. For example, you might see that there's certain upgradation in your system saying that this is going to be upgraded, or this is the new things to avoid that your penetration of data doesn't happen to the outside world. So there are certain filters which is applied in the organization label, that you cannot send any document or confidential information outside your organization. These are nothing but a standard or policies which has to be abide, and this is also a part of GRC which we have to abide by so that we do not breach that law. So suppose when you are signing a document, when you enter in an organization, you also sign a non-disclosure agreement saying that I will not send any confidential data of the organization to the outside world. So many a time there are lot of barricades or gates put in place so that you cannot send any kind of data to the outside world. And if you send it, a serious consequence will be faced by the employee. Okay, so that is how. So even if you are an employee, you are abiding by this law. Employer also has that credentiality of making sure that your data is not leaked. So suppose we give our there are various organization where you give a health report, where you give your like PAN card number, where you give a account number. So yeah, my organization also has to abide that, saying that that kind of data will not be given to the outside world for malicious uses. So this is how a understanding between employee and employer is always there, and this is also done by with the help of GRC. So GRC helps in craft and maintaining a single sound of truth for compliance that allows everyone to be on the right page. So now we talked about data privacy. So GRC helps in organizations stay on top of ever-changing landscape of privacy regulation. So there are a lot of privacy regulation which is happening. So GRC helps in abiding to this privacy acts or regulation by allowing the IT team to ensure that the appropriate protection, logging of geographic storage, etc., are in place to defend customer and employees' data. Okay. Then visibility, GRC is an integrated approach that allows companies to get visibility into every aspect of their security compliance program. This is vital as it enables different unit managers and personnel to see a big picture and make data-driven and informed decisions. So GRC is very important to help in doing so. Any question by now?
Yeah, hi Shudeshna. This is Bhaktidas. When we talk about governance, especially with respect to data privacy, is there any template which we can use to implement in our organizations? I mean, governance is a you know um, I would say, process by which we ensure that the right people do the right things, correct?
Right.
And there are checks and balances in place which ensures that the organization meets its goal. Is there any template for us to use for data privacy?
uh,
to achieve
there,
these goals?
there are not any kind of like set kind of standards. So, for example, if I say I am following ISO 27K and 27701 about data privacy, so there are certain standards in your privacy document of ISO. So I have to see that, and I have to formulate my own policy and processes. So there's no like,
That means they have alterations.
pardon me.
That means all the rules and regulations have some kind of alterations for different organizations.
Yes, yes,
Data.
yes, yes. It is. It is actually not as it is. It is. You will use the standard, but your policy and process as per will be as per the organization. For example, if I say I am working for a healthcare domain, okay. So my policy will not be same as an IT company. So I'll be very
Understand.
different. My
Policy is, yeah, the policy has to be set according to the objective of the organization.
organizations.
I'm
Yes.
especially talking about the governance. So
Yeah, then I will tell
when
you
you
about the governance. The next question is on the governance. So now,
okay.
if it is an IT and if it is an healthcare, okay. So there are two different company, two different industry as such. So my policy or processes or the document which I will prepare will be different from an IT company.
Yep.
Okay.
Agree.
Agree. So that's how, like, it depends on what, but I can refer to certain standards. Like if I am in healthcare domain, I can refer to HIPAA compliance. If an IT company, I can refer to 27K or 27701.
Yeah.
That means we can borrow the controls, right?
We will understand the controls and implement our own processes for us.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's rightly Sudeshna said. I mean, Bhavesh and Bhakta, it is like, I mean, when we talk about implementation of, GRC, so it is combination of all. I mean, when you talk about GRC in cybersecurity, it is not much difference from ISO when we talk about a HIPAA, when we talk about, it is basically what I need. And looking from governance point of view. So finally everything, all road leads to Rome. So that way it is all about. Correct me, Sudeshna, if I am wrong.
No. It's absolutely correct. So that's why that is why I said it depends. Like your roles, your responsibility, your processes, it will be in your hand. How you design it.
And based on
Suppose,
industry, it is, yeah, please go ahead.
yes.
Please go ahead.
For example, now I want to make a cup of tea. Okay. So I may make it in my style, putting ginger or anything. Somebody else can make it with elaichi. So my process will be different. Her process will be different. So I'm just giving a layman example for it. But it is similarly in the industry also. It depends on the industry. Then what is the policy you are, standard you are taking into consideration,
Means
and
all,
then you
all,
prepare your policy
all
and
aspects
processes.
or conditions or state of maintenance, na?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Bhavesh, tell me.
Ma'am, is it kind of क्या कहते हैं, steps to minimal steps to reach the particular state or kind of maintenance part? Both
Yeah.
are included, na?
यस तो मेरा जो ऑब्जेक्टिव है, जैसे मेरा जो ऑब्जेक्टिव होगा, वो मेरा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का ऑब्जेक्टिव विल बी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अदर्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ऑब्जेक्टिव. ओके, माय ऑब्जेक्टिव विल बी वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम, लाइक माय विजन एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ ईच एंड एवरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज वेरी डिफरेंट, and it is also on industry specific. For example, if I'm working in military, okay, and I am working on an software which still with military products, okay, my confidentiality of information will be very high. There what I will sign as per law will be very different from what I sign and in a normal software which is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
in
The
the
conscience aspect क्या कहते हैं, काफी high rated होगा.
हाँ, तो ये डिपेंड करता है तुम कौन से इंडस्ट्री से, आप कौन सा बिजनेस ले रहे हो, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ बिजनेस यू आर डीलिंग विद, व्हाट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन यू आर डीलिंग विद, व्हाट इज द लाइक मतलब थॉट, मतलब उसका जो इतने, जैसे कि हम लोग कहीं भी
Focus area.
फोकस एरिया है, जो ऑब्जेक्टिव है, तो तुम्हारा ऑब्जेक्टिव मे बी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अदर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ऑब्जेक्टिव. सो एवरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विल डिपेंड ऑन देयर ऑब्जेक्टिव, दे विल अलाइन देयर ऑब्जेक्टिव with the strategy. I will just talk about it. Give me 5 minutes. We'll talk about that also.
Sure, please.
Shudeshna ma'am, one question. The cybersecurity readiness review, normally, what is the scope that is considered, and what is the frequency it is done in a year?
About governance check, you are saying?
Yeah, the cybersecurity readiness review, what you presented in the previous
Yeah,
slide.
so there are various way of doing it. So in an organization, no, this can be done like every month we do some reviews or audits to make sure that we are abiding. Like we say that there are certain processes we'll do internal audits. So and once in a year there'll be an external vendor like an ISO governing body like DNB or anybody who comes and do an external audit. Okay, so internal audit will help make sure that we are following our processes and procedures at a regular interval every month. Okay, so this today I do IT department. Tomorrow I may do some other department which deals with all this data, even HR's department. So we will do such kind of AD on a regular interval, and that frequency will also be published. Like every month we'll publish that frequency to the organization saying that these are the areas of these are the departments we are going to audit this month. So this are every month you will have these activities now and then.
So
Yearly we'll have an
exactly,
external.
that is the governance process I was talking about. I mean, policies, of
Absolutely.
course, depends. You tailor it according to your industry, according to your organization. Though that part is policy, but what you're talking about now, like every month you do this, then you submit a report or publish a
Yes, we'll
report. These
submit
are the
every
parts of governance that you
yes,
wanted
yes,
to
true,
see.
true,
Yeah.
true.
Okay, got it. Hmm.
Okay. Mohan Sundar, I have actually
Thank you, ma'am. I think you answered it nicely. And do you share the outcome of these monthly audits with the, let's say, the MC or the board?
yeah,
What
we
what
do.
is the audience that you share?
Yeah, it is with the stakeholders, even with the top leadership. See, if these reviews are meant to identify proactive risk, okay, in the organization, this will be also discussed with the top management, saying that okay, and all the stakeholders, in the sense that who are like internal stakeholders. For example, we are an audit party, like a so for example, I'll give in an IT because I work in an IT company. So I belong to the DEX team, which is called as Delivery Excellence team, who does this audit. So I collate all the data every month and I send it to my top management, like my CEO, CDO, and everybody, to make sure that they look into the proactive risk which we have identified and to
Okay.
take necessary actions accordingly. So we'll have a gold green plan also. So this kind of observation or NC, non-conformity, which we give has a stipulated time to be closed also. So we'll give it there are certain threads which we have to be closed within 2 weeks and certain threads which has to be closed after 3 weeks. And certain good practice, we'll also identify good practice and tell to the organization, okay, this is a department using such kind of good practice. So this can be abided by some other department in the organization.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Now coming to the model which we may use is like GRC capacity model. This is a very high level model I'm giving you. So there are 4 pillars of this model. One is your learn, align, perform, and review. Okay, what is learn? You understand your stakeholders. You understand what is the dependency of your stakeholders, what is your objective of stakeholders, and then you align your business objective with the strategies. Okay, secondly, you align your business objectives and strategies with the stakeholders expectation. What does the stakeholder expect from you? So that is how your objectives will be aligned. Third is that you align resource allocation planning with this objective. So when you are saying about this objectives, you also have to identify resources who will take care of it. So you align this. So this is nothing but a learn stage or a learn pillar of GRC. Second pillar is your align pillar. That is like you have to align your objectives and come up with various processes in order to make sure that these are being abided by. So the objectives are clear. Now you design a process and make sure that they are aligned and this process is aligned to your objective. And with these processes, you are helping the team in order to come up with a so-called step-by-step actions, for example. Okay, so you design such processes. So you aligned your objective. Now you learned about your stakeholder, came up with your business objective. then you align your business objective with the strategies, then you make processes as aligned to your objectives. Now you perform, then you practice them. So after you practice them, during the practice them, you make policies, you communicate them this all to the organization. You ask, like, various trainings are conducted to make sure that these are the policies, these are the processes we have to abide by. Okay, so similarly, after that, if you once you perform this, you review them. With review can be done with the help of any internal reviews or an audit, anything you may name it, but it has to be done to make sure that your objective are met, and it gives like a confidence to the organization that there is no malicious trait for your data which you are maintaining, or your customer should be happy at the end of the end of this governance GRC model. Your customer should be happy and should have this confidence that his or her data is secure with you. Okay, so this is the GRC capacity model.
Yeah, this capability model is really very nice. I mean, I have seen it, but it in different format, and this is really something summarizing everything. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now let us talk about the GRC capability model. What does it does? Okay, so we have a unified vocabulary, which I had talked about. What does GRC talk about? Nomenclature, or no, like way of talking, the same way of talking, so the people understand what you are saying. You define common components and elements. You define information, like common information requirement, and you have a standardized practice for things like policy and training. So it's a standardized practice, so that there's a one single rule for everybody. That is why the GRC is very important. And you identify communication for everyone to be involved. So every audit or every review you do in GRC, this report are shared with top management, and so that it is very clear, crystal clear to the outside world that how you're protecting your data. Okay, so any question now?
Yeah, go ahead. There are certain things we'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. I'll ask you. It's all done?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So this is the end of my slide. I have not gone much beyond this. This is the end of my slide. So you.
No. I think, a lot of information that we talked about, and one thing I understand is that awareness and then audit is something very important from external agencies. One thing that I would like to discuss not only with you, with everyone, GRC automation. There are a lot of tools and companies talking about get your GRC automated, and it will give you compliance for everything. But I have my certain reservation, because of course automation is very good, but it captures whatever we feed to it. It's not that it will capture what is on reality. Maybe certain things, if I have integrated with my, say, system hardware, then it may capture certain things, if some vulnerabilities are there, weakness are there, etc. But it has got limitations. So I request others, to give your opinion about it. Yeah, Shudeshna, you want to talk about, then we can ask others as well, or maybe Bhakt or anyone.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because now I'll tell you one example. Okay, now whenever a person leaves the organization, any organization he or she is working, his personal data are with the company. Okay, you give your laptop back, for example. Okay, and the laptop has lot of data inside it. All the personal data will be there. So how do you clean it? This can be like, they can be automized tool, no doubt, but many things cannot be automized. Like, how do you do it? If there's even an intervention of a person to look into it, will help the person like understand ki acha a process ho raha hai na, because every process when it is automized, no, it may not have everything in place. It is only a machine where you have fitted your like how to do it. But when there's a personal intervention of a person, no, he or she will question or understand, acha ye nahi ho raha, to isko aise karenge kya? So that kind of like, obviously I believe that human beings are much brainier than a system.
Okay. Yeah,
So that's
Mohan. Yeah, please, Sundar, I mean, Bhakta, anyone. Any thought on
This
this
is
part?
this is Bhakta. I would just like to give my 2 cents. When somebody says it will automate everything, your GRC, I I would take it with a pinch of salt. Nothing automates 100%. Especially GRC, I see there are a lot of human elements. Yeah, it might prompt you. It might automate part of the activity, like Sudeshna was saying. Maybe cleaning up your data when the employee leaves. But how do you implement it? In your organization, that's a big part of the equation, right? So in a certain technical tasks may be automated, but the whole GRC process will be automated. I doubt it, because there are a lot of human elements. When you talk about governance, right? How do you set the governance in your organization? How you want to make it a strict process? These are all human elements. There is probably only the salespeople will be saying that it can automate the things, but I think we should not take it at that. But we should, of course, we can leverage the tool if it is there. From my experience, I have not seen any tool or any product that completely automates everything. It's again depends upon how you deploy it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because there are many tools and many organizations, in cyber security or information security or GRC. They say that you integrate our tools. So basically, the monitoring is on infrastructure part. I mean, it is some part of it. It is monitored and action is being taken, but not everything. So that may give some comfort, up to some level, but it will not be managing. I mean, that is the reason we have internal audit, and we don't believe in internal audit, because there is a leniency. One of us are doing audit for one of our team members, so always there is a leniency, and there are chances that we have been doing things for months, so overlook things, and that is the reason we call for external audit, because he will be looking for things from the scratch. Thank you.
Right.
One question.
Yeah.
So I see that the very nice the notes written here. So as part of the the GRC's reporting, is there anything typically in a B2C industry shared with the the customers? Do you share something maybe once in a year or a quarter? Is there anything to share with them? The data subjects, I mean.
Come again.
Okay, so just to let me refine my question. So in a B2C business, generally the customers are the data subjects, right?
Right.
So as an outcome of this GRC control and framework and automation in place, do we normally show some reporting to the customer, in this case, who are the data subjects?
Yeah, so we don't show any report to the customer. It is basically, if you talk about the privacy point of view, data subject, okay. In case if there is any ask from the customer, we show. It is all, controlling, strengthening our internal systems. Correct me, Sudeshna, if I am wrong. It is basically talking about strengthening our internal system, our organization, from data privacy point of view, from compliance point of view, with transparency. Unless and until customer asks, suppose I have hosted a website for the customer and I'm internally doing, audit, finding out, doing various tests, etc., to ensure that customer data is safe. So in case customer is asking, then we share. Or if there is a based on the agreement, suppose I have agreement with the customer, every 3 months, he'll be asking for certain questions or certain proof. So that time we share with them. Otherwise, we don't do that.
It depends on the contract, like whatever you have agreed with the customer. So for example, if like I gave an example of an armed force, like if you are working for any armed force or any kind of security kind of data, they will ask you certain files to be shared with them, which will say that at what frequency your audit was conducted, what they observed, what was the external audit done, who had done it, what are the observations given. So if the customer requests you, you can provide them.
Okay, thank you. And maybe one follow-up question here. Now that the Gen AI has come in and multiple organizations have are leveraging the automation of Gen AI capabilities, is it increasing the amount of the work that is done by the GRC, and what are the initial challenges in case you hear something of, that are coming from the Gen AI? Some examples, please.
See, yeah, they will have threats also. Gen AI, like if you say about cloud platform or Gen AI platform, if you see a cloud, it's a public and a private cloud. So public, when everything goes public, so there will be a lot of privacy, like talk about, or a lot of norms has to be established to make sure that your data is secured, everything is secured. So if you say Gen AI, if it is increasing, like if you come up with a model saying that I am giving an example of a toll gate application which says you how many how many toll gates you have crossed, and if it keeps a track of your pattern where you move. There are two side of the coin, like one is positive, one is negative. Okay, positive is that, for example, if it will decrease the criminal cases, one thing. Increase is that a lot of threats, like people will know where you are going, how you are going, to whom you are meeting. So your personal privacy is very much in stake. So people, that when we are open to such kind of platform, no, there are a lot of laws which will be also increasing day by day. When Gen AI comes in full-fledged, there will be also various law changes in the worldwide, which you have to abide by. And so your policy or GRC which is there has to abide by these laws or policies. So they are also these policies are also like revisited every now and then. It is not that one policy you have created, you will sleep on top of it for next 10 years. No, it's not like that. So every year you have to revisit your policies. So for example, if it is also ISO 9001 or 27K, all this changes within the time, because there are not of policy changes, because a lot of things is happening in the organization or the world. So they will keep all this, and they will also revisit their policy or standards. So when they revisit their standards and the laws are also implemented at the worldwide, we have to abide the GRC, like our GRC also has to abide by it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, so to add on to this, I would like to also highlight the ISO 42001, which is talking about the governance of Gen AI, right? So that will be also the implementation part whenever the organization is looking for the GRC perspective in their organization with respect to Gen AI.
Right.
Yeah, AI will change a lot of things, what we follow, and what will be, after few months or years, we don't know.
I was
Yes.
reading one article just a month before, like even they are restricting Gen AI to be used in movies a lot. Okay, so there are certain laws which are coming up, which will say that you can use Gen AI to certain extent in a movie. You cannot use full.
Oh, that is the debatable. I think maybe we can take up in other, because maybe, if somebody wants to make a movie and they will take consent from various actors and make a AI movie. So that
I'm
is
a movie
something.
bug, so I always read all such kind of things.
Okay. So fine.